I love introducing you to clever people from around the world and new faces. A guy who has been on telly for a little while, comedy, news, whole bunch of stuff, but I think has got a huge future, is a guy called Mark Dolan. He is on YouTube. The Mark Dolan Show is something you should subscribe to, and I bet you will by the end of our chat. He joins us now from merry old England. Great man, lovely to see you. How you been?
Listen, I'm so well, Paul, but we're not that merry at the moment. The country is in crisis. You know, I was doing my homework on Australia, and you guys had an immigration crisis that really reached a peak in 2008. Over 5 years, 50,000 people entered Australia illegally. Well, we've done that in a year, Paul. It is a major crisis, a major headache for the Prime Minister, who said he was going to tackle the issue. He said he was going to smash the criminal gangs, but the numbers are up.
Absolutely. And also there's this issue about where those 50,000 people are. They're in literally hotels. Yeah. But thankfully, a local council seems to be getting a court win that might be short-lived, but they've got the chance now to say, no, bugger off, not here.
Absolutely. Paul, it is a win for people power. Obviously, peaceful protest, violent protest is not what we want. And quite often, when regular folks do protest about a migrant hotel, they're labeled far right, but that's because everyone's far right these days, of course. If you have common sense and if you have opinions from, I don't know, the mid-90s, then you're basically an undesirable in the kind of modern narrative. But really, it's back to basics, which is the border is there for a reason, and people want to live safely in their communities. And that's not possible in a small town where you have a migrant hotel. Now, first of all, there's an emotional attachment to hotels within a community because often they've been there for decades. People have got married there, births, deaths, christenings. It's a focal point of the community. If that hotel is populated by undocumented young men, well, it's no longer got that legacy, and it's a threat to the safety of the community. I'm not saying all these folks are dangerous. Of course not. Most of them are economic migrants who want a better life. But the first thing is that's not our job, because you could accept 1 billion people who want a better life. But the issue with the hotel accommodation reached a head at the Bell Hotel in Epping, Essex. That's the case that you were referring to, Paul, where locals had been protesting partly because of the issue around losing their local hotel, but predominantly the safety of women and young girls. So there was an Ethiopian asylum seeker who was living at this hotel who was charged with a series of sexual offenses, including some against a 14-year-old girl. The locals were furious. So what's happened is this very courageous local authority, council leaders have won a temporary injunction to close the Bell Hotel. But really, it's Paul, it's the people against those who govern us, because the Home Secretary, who's responsible for this mess, is actually fighting in the courts to keep these hotels open and to have upwards of 200 men accommodated in what used to be five-star luxury.
I love your observation about common sense of the mid-90s, and because everything has moved so hard to the left, oh, now you're to the right. Sorry, you moved. We didn't move on these basic sense, these basic ideas, right? But anyway, now, obviously,
I know
a lot of this disquiet leads to people wanting to have a massive change, and that massive change is going to be Nigel Farage, right? There's still 3 years before a general election, but absolutely sailing in the polls and on his way to being Prime Minister.
Absolutely. This would be the most remarkable political story. Nigel Farage was planning on retiring from public life. He's a host on GB News, making an absolute fortune with many, many viewers and listeners enjoying his common sense opinions every night. And just before the last election, he had a kind of, road to Damascus moment, and he realized the country's falling apart. I'm going to go back into the fray. And he thought that he could just essentially influence British politics, but it's highly likely that he will be Britain's next prime minister. So, Paul, the latest poll from Electoral Calculus has the Conservatives winning 35 seats, right. Labour 138, Reform, wait for this, 347. That would be a majority of over 21. Now, what's Farage going to do, Paul? Well, he's going to scrap net zero, which is costing Britain a fortune. You realise that we have got decades worth of oil and gas in the North Sea. We don't drill for it. We don't touch the coal. And instead, we're going for green renewables, and we have the highest energy costs in the free world. He's going to tackle the woke takeover of our public institutions. He's going to get rid of birthing humans and chest feeders in the NHS. I've got a new word for you. Woman. That's what they are. Mother, wife, sister. And the other one, by the way, this will really catch your eye, Paul, the debt. I mean, we are broke, okay? So currently servicing our debt, $193 billion a year, just on the interest for our overspending. So it's going to be a political revolution. I think it's highly likely Farage wins. The only question, Paul, is can he deliver?
Correct. Well, we'll always have a chat to him when we're not having a chat to you. All right.
Yeah.
You go to your phone, you go to YouTube, you type in Mark Dolan Show, and then you hit subscribe. All right? You hit subscribe, and that's the way to send the love back to this bloke who's braining it on your telly tonight.